We have, as they say. Okay, well, thanks, Kathy. We'll find out if things get popping tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. We'll check it in a bit.
He had kind of like a tough look to him, but he was such a sweet dog. He was never like aggressive. He loved kids, he loved people, he loved other dogs.
A woman in Colorado is mourning the loss of her dog, which died recently after spending time in a pond at Chatfield State Park. Vets suspect that blue-green algae may be to blame. She talked to 9 News and hopes her family's tragedy will serve as a warning to others.
They have a husky too, so I have a lot of pictures of them together.
Kayla Milliman is always happy to share
Oh yeah, I have a ton of pictures of him.
memories of her dog, Koji.
We brought him home. He was like an instant fit for our family. I have 2 little kiddos, and so that was like their baby right away.
Milliman says they've had Koji for the past 2 years and had recently taken him to the off-leash dog park at Chatfield.
Well, I had taken him to the park on Friday evening to go swim. He was in the water for quite some time, trying to get this massive stick because it was way too big for his body. And I took him home that night. He was acting like a little bit strange, like he might have been a little bit kind of confused.
She says the next morning they found Koji in really bad condition.
He was very cold, he was shaking, tremoring, he was having seizures. He couldn't even make eye contact with us. We later found out that he had gone into shock.
Milliman says they immediately took Koji to the veterinarian.
So he had liver failure, he started to have kidney failure, which is what he ultimately passed from. He presented with a really low blood sugar, which they were initially really concerned about. And we later found out that the low blood sugar is associated with the blue-green algae toxicity.
Toxic algae are microbacteria found in freshwater sources and can be fatal, a condition that Milliman's veterinarian is suspicious of being the dog's cause of death.
It was just a really traumatic experience. He was a totally healthy dog, no issues before that.
Milliman hopes getting the word out about her dog Koji will always be a reminder for other pet owners.
So I wanted to get the information out there for other families because I don't want it to happen to anybody else.
In Littleton, Byron Reed, 9 News.
We thank Byron for that. CPW says it has not yet been confirmed whether that blue-green algae was the cause of the dog's death. They're working to get more details on what happened. That testing is taking place. For now, there are no closures, but this is a story that's been trending really across the country.
It really has. We're going to talk more about it right now because we had some questions about how inspections for blue-green algae are done in our state. Colorado Parks and Wildlife says each lake owner is responsible for their own lake. CPW monitors state parks and wildlife areas for algae blooms, while the Water Quality Control Division monitors lakes statewide. CPW does routine visual monitoring for blooms. If they see something suspicious, they try to identify the algae to figure out if it's capable of becoming toxic. They typically do an on-site test for toxins and then bring it to a lab for further testing. CPW says most algae is harmless and an important part of the food chain in most cases. Our partners at KRDO and Colorado Springs are reporting that Pikeview Reservoir has tested positive for blue-green algae. People and pets are prohibited from swimming in all of that right now. Fishing is still being allowed, though. Efforts in Minnesota to slow the growth of toxic algae seem to be working. There's a noticeable difference at Schmidt Lake in Plymouth from 2017 to now. The lake used to be full of muck and algae. Neighbors and city leaders worked hard to improve the water quality on the lake with the help of a local aquatic weed control company. You really have to be careful right now. And there's supposedly an odor that goes along with it too, so you may notice that first when you pull up to the lake.
Like we said, dogs are drawn to water, especially in the heat. And so, when it's not closed, you're thinking it's safe. And it's not sometimes.
Another reason to keep them on that leash, right? Some of the people behind a CU